Greetings to everyone out there watching today. Right here. Today, we're going to take a look at a no spoiler look at the beginning of all three printings of the A1 module Slave Pits of the Undercity. Now, we'll be giving my comments and suggestions about this module and things a Dungeon Master can implement. If you like the occasional dungeon crafting video, module, monster, character, or class review, please hit that subscribe button. You'll be one of the first to be notified when you hit the bell. And if you hit that bell icon, you'll also be one of the first to be notified when I upload another video. By doing this, you're helping me grow as a content creator. Also, this is a very, very valuable part of my therapy that I need to fight my social anxiety disorders. If you notice frequent cuts in the film, it's because I need a little time to get myself back together because things might tend to get a little overwhelming from time to time. Your constructive comments and suggestions really mean something to me. I try to answer everyone's comments, and I also have lots of 1E and 5E physical and PDF materials, so I do take requests for future content. I really wasn't going to say anything to anybody about this, but in the light of recent events, and with the VA drastically cutting back on face-to-face counseling sessions, it's really impersonal talking to people over the phone for me, especially knowing when there's other veterans in a worse place than I am with their recoveries. Now, I'm not saying this to get any pity off of anybody by any means at all. I just thought you might need to know the reason why I even make these videos to begin with. Now, on with my spoiler-free introduction to Slave Pits of the Undercity. Here I have my physical copy of the May 1986 TSR Super Module Scourge of the Slavelords, along with PDF printouts of both the 1980 Module A1 Slave Pits of the Undercity and the March of 2013 remastered A0 through A4 against the Slavelords. I also have the 5E conversion in here for my 5E veterans group. When we finally start to get meeting again, I will be posting links to all the materials that I can find. I'll be posting links to all these materials that I can find on DriveThruRPG for everybody's convenience. Unfortunately, the 1986 Scourge of the Slavelords isn't available anymore unless you find it on Amazon or eBay. And trust me, you're going to be paying a healthy price for it. Slave Pits of the Undercity was originally written as an official tournament module for the 1980 Gen Con XIII, and was the first of 4 in a series of sequential tournament modules. Also included in this module is a challenging scenario, the tournament scoring system, along with 9 pre-rolled and play-tested characters. Now, some of them are really, really good. And if you want to jump right in and start out right there at the gate, go for it. These are really good characters, I think. These rules that they have for tournament play, along with suggestions, all started in the tournament notes on page 3 of the 1980 module release. Was a 2-panel folded open cover with maps on the insides of front and back cover. This was very helpful for the Dungeon Master, having all maps in one location. I wish I still had my original copy. It disappeared sometime during my travels when I was in the military. This module was written by David Cook for TSR. It's 22 pages long and was designed for 4 to 6 player characters between levels 4 and 7. This was the first in a 4-part series, following the same storyline. Now, I personally prefer the 1986 Scourge's Slavelords Super Module over the 2013 and the original module. First off, there's a booklet that comes with all the maps in it, and it's located in the back of the book in a folded portion of the back cover. Very helpful. Next, it's really good for someone who's just starting out running a campaign for the first time. In the middle of a big campaign scenario, and they decide, hey, I want to give it a try. There's some really good setup for it. You have a invitation to come to Highport, which is pretty cool. I like this because it's a really good transition for players and gives them what I call a on the way to, in quotes, experience. This is much better than the your adventure begins with everyone standing at X location. You have no clue how you got there, but you're there. I don't like that. It's just way too dry and too generic for me. Most dungeon masters will also have a really easy time linking it to my previous video that I did, a 0 danger at Dark Shelf Quarry. In one of my campaigns that I'd ran, I had it set up to where Neaster, the overlord of Dark Shelf, receives a message by special courier, just as the end of their winter celebration is winding down. Coincidentally, this celebration just happens to be taking place with the characters being the guests of honor 2 days after the players dispatched Brezel Eric, the foreman of the Dark Shelf Quarry. Put it into the slave trade and all the trouble around Dark Shelf. The player characters, like I said, were the guests of honor. And the fighter was looking for his twin brother. And there was also a letter in with that special courier dispatch that was specifically just for him. It did read that I have information for you that you might need to aid you in search for your twin brother. Come to Safeton. Here I will tell you what you need to know. Enclosed with the letter was also his twin brother's signet ring from his family. Now, the setup from the original slave pits in Undercity and against the Slavelords has a very useful backstory for players. It gives you very, very necessary information. And it tells you how to conduct yourself when you arrive in Highport. Other than that, the players start the game actually right outside the walls of a ruined temple compound. This is just, like I said, feels generic like that you meet in a tavern scenario that I mentioned in the Danger at Dark Shelf Quarry review. Again, this feels just like a generic you meet in a tavern scenario that I mentioned at the beginning of my Danger at Dark Shelf Quarry review. And I'm going to put on the screen and read to you the background information found on page 2 of the module.
For several years, organized bands of pirates and slavers have made a living by raiding the coastal towns on the Sea of Girnat. Ranging from Onwall to the Wild Coast, they have descended quickly and ruthlessly on small towns and villages and carried off innocent citizens into the night. Although these marauders were not approved of by the lords and rulers of the lands they raided, they were allowed to continue their depredations. Feuding among the lords and lack of funds prevented all but an occasional naval battle with the villains and the slow fortification of towns. Bribery was often the most effective method of protecting one's lands from the incursions of these voracious sea wolves. Recently, however, the slavers' attacks have become more frequent and vicious. Believing their prey to be weak and helpless, the raiders have burned entire villages and pulled down walls of towns. Women, children, and whole families have disappeared. And though bribes are accepted, the agreements are ignored. Vast tracts of coastline have been reduced to ashes, left barren, except for packs of wild dogs. The lords have finally become determined to take action, forgetting their petty squabbles to unite against the marauders of the Yellow Sails. Through information gained from escaped slaves and those fortunate enough to have been found and bought by families or friends, the lords have traced the slavers to a port from which they launched their swift attacks on the coast, the despoiled city of Highport in the wasted Pomarge. Some who have lost kin and fortune to the reavers have advised taking a fleet and crushing the outpost, but cooler heads have prevailed. They have pointed out that such a base is undoubtedly well defended, and that the slavers, if alarmed, might arrange that loved ones and kin are never seen again. Instead, they have chosen a plan of stealth. Several bands of adventurers have been gathered together and will be sent to infiltrate the base and destroy the leaders of this evil band. Caution is recommended, for the true strength and extent of this slave ring is not known, but they seem to be stronger and better organized than encounters with their small raiding parties would indicate. Highport was once a human city, but the land and town have been overrun by humanoids, orcs, goblins, kobolds, ogres, and gnolls. Looted, burned, and ill-kept, the city has become a base for human outcasts, wishing to deal with those unsavory creatures. Your party, provided with transportation, has managed to arrive in Highport and pose as one of these groups come to deal.
There you go. My no spoiler review of the beginning of the A1 module, Slave Pits of the Undercity. The rest of this series is coming really soon. So, subscribe, like, comment, and share with your friends. And also share it with your social media groups. You know, a thumbs up and a hey Thaco, good job, really does go a long way. So, until next time, thank you for watching. Now, grab that D8 and roll damage.